Alright, so breaking down Runnin' with the Devil by Van Halen. Essentially three parts to this song, three main sections you'd need to learn, which would be the chorus, the verse, and the solo. And the chorus is the same as the intro riff, which is pretty simple, not too difficult to play. You're basically going to just play a bar chord with your first finger. You're just going to bar on the 5th fret of the D string, the G string, and the B string, which is simply going to be a C, and you're going to bring that immediately up in one whole step to what would be a D, and that's going to ring. And so the first one is very staccato, or it just doesn't last very long. It's instantly muted almost as soon as you play it. And then you go into the D, let it ring. And then there's the chunkin', which essentially is where you're just going to mute all the strings and then just get a real percussive attack out of your pick. And you're going to play that chord again and then hammer on these two notes, which may be tricky, but your middle finger here is going to hammer on to the 8th fret of the B string, and then your ring finger is going to hammer on to the 9th fret of the D string, and then the 7th fret of the G just remains what it is. And you're going to move that whole figure up one whole step and take it off. After you play it, take it off. So the whole riff is... And that's the main riff, the Runnin' with the Devil, right there. Now you go into the verse. It's pretty simple as well. You're basically going to play everything in the position of A here, an A chord. So we're just going to hit an A, and then bend from on the 3rd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the low E, which is a G note, back to an A. And then you're going to, it's the 5th fret on the D string, and then the 4th fret of the G string, making a major 3rd, back to an A note, and then a minor 3rd, the interval of a minor 3rd here, which is going to be an F sharp note with your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the D string, and then your first finger, an A note here on the G string, 2nd fret, and then that same thing moved down a whole step. So you're playing an E note on the 2nd fret of the D string and an open G string. So it's to an open E. Back into the chorus. And then so underneath the guitar solo, the rhythm essentially just is an A chord and a G chord, and then an A chord and an E chord. And in the way the solo itself is played, it's not real complicated. Essentially, it's gonna go to an A major kind of vibe, and you're gonna play everything you're gonna start in the 14th position. Your ring finger is gonna start this note here, which is gonna be on the 16th fret of the A string, and you're gonna play through the notes of an A major chord one at a time, like that. And then on the B string, you're gonna climb up from the 14th, 15th to the 17th fret, and then back down. And all that is just the notes of an A major chord. Now when the chord switches to G for the rhythm, you move that whole thing down one whole step and do the exact same thing. Move it up one whole step and do that again. And then this time around he bends on the 17th fret of the high E string like that. You hold it up there and hit 2 notes, release and play that note again. Then he plays that again in G. And then so for the final little section of the solo, what that is you run up through that same little arpeggiated thing there. And then you're going to end up with your, I guess whichever 2 fingers you're the strongest with, because you're going to have to bend both these notes, which is kind of a trick. But you're going to have one finger on the 15th fret of the B string and one on the 14th fret of the high E string, and you're going to kind of climb that chromatically up to there, but then you got to bend them to where they both sound like they're here, which can be very tricky. And then from there it goes back into the main riff. Now the only other thing we might want to talk about is in this song is when Eddie's playing this, you'll hear these pick scrapes, which is something a lot of people don't get or don't understand how it's happening, and it's probably because they're using the wrong kind of pick. But a pick scrape is really popularized by Eddie Van Halen and players of that era. But essentially it's where you're going to take the pick and run it, you're literally going to just scrape it down this low E string and create this wild sound that you get. Now some picks are better for this than others. Some picks you can't get this effect at all. The picks that I find work the best for this are the the nylon picks. They're like a 0.25 millimeter, real thin pick with that real raspy edge on the side. And what you do is you kind of want to hold that pick and almost curve it, bend it, and literally scrape that. Don't drag it down the string like this, because that's just going to give you this horrible, not real desirable sound. Now if you run it into the string downwards like this, what you end up getting is a, now that I can't get it, more of this wild demon banshee scream, just screaming down your guitars. And I find that sometimes it helps if it's almost like what he's doing is he's wanting to get what you hear people doing before they start a song, that kind of effect. But you slide up like you're going to do that, but then the descending part of it isn't just descending back down, it's the slide with your pick. And that just creates this really crazy sound. Now when he does this in Runnin' with the Devil is after each main riff in the chorus. And sometimes he'll use the pick scrape, sometimes he'll just slide with his fingers, but there are picks that just will not give you this sound. You get it to a degree, but it just sounds more like a scrapey mess than it does with the right kind of pick. You just get a really good, that's real bad. The nylon thinner picks give you that real great pick scrape sound that Eddie was really good at getting. And he used it in a lot more than just this one song, but that's one thing he did in this song that I think is pretty cool. And so those are some of the licks used by Eddie Van Halen in Runnin' with the Devil. Thanks for watching.